Explosions, both accidental and natural, have always inspired wonder and dread. Sadly, explosions frequently cause destruction in Bangladesh. Even while some may have been accidents, the majority might have been easily averted with the right security precautions. The explosion's global history is similar to that. Millions of lives were lost as a result of these explosions, which also forced corporations to modify their evil practices and prompted stricter safety regulations. Welcome to the channel, and let's dive into the video and learn more about the top 10 biggest explosions in history. Around 19 kilotons of explosive energy were unleashed at the USS Trinity test in 1945, the first nuclear explosion ever. Before unleashing a fierce heat wave throughout the desert, the explosion instantaneously destroyed the tower it was standing on and transformed the surrounding sand into green glass. After World War II, the US and the Soviet Union conducted bomb tests with explosive strength at least 500 times larger as the Cold War heated up. The 10 greatest nuclear explosions in recorded history are contrasted visually in this infographic. Nuclear weapons detonate into enormous fireballs that produce a dazzling glare and a sweltering heat wave. A fireball consumes the surrounding atmosphere as it climbs like a hot air balloon, growing larger as it does so. The structure of the mushroom-shaped cap is produced as the fireball and heated air rise and are flattened by colder, denser air located high in the atmosphere. The fireball sends a shockwave outward at thousands of kilometers per hour, causing physical destruction at the base of the cloud. The stem of the mushroom cloud is formed by a powerful updraft of air and dirt particles through the core of the cloud. Most nuclear explosions produce rings that encircle the cloud, also referred to as Wilson clouds, as a result of fluctuating air pressure and water condensation. The mushroom cloud disappears over time. However, it leaves behind radioactive fallout in the form of debris, dust, ash, and nuclear particles, harming the nearby ecosystem for a long time. Due to their small weight, the particles are frequently dispersed far from the detonation site by global wind patterns. Here is a list of the 10 biggest explosions. Note that nuclear wasn't the only reason why explosions happen, but the rest of the above flows through mostly. 10. Halifax explosion. A Belgian ship and a French cargo ship in Halifax, Canada's harbor collided by accident in 1917 when both were carrying explosives during World War I. It burst with a force roughly equal to 3 kilotons of TNT, greater than any man-made explosion that had come before it. The explosion caused a white plume to rise 20 feet over the city and a tsunami that reached heights of up to 60 feet. Around 2,000 people were killed and 9,000 were injured, and the area nearly 2 kilometers around the blast core was completely destroyed. It is still the biggest unintentional artificial explosion ever. 9. Deepwater Horizon. When an explosion shook the Deepwater Horizon oil rig on April 20, 2010, the greatest marine oil disaster in history got underway. Tens of thousands of barrels of oil would pour into the Gulf of Mexico every day during the ensuing months as BP engineers battled to stop the leak. An estimated 4.9 million barrels of oil were believed to have seeped into the Gulf by the time the well was shut in September 2010, resulting in severe economic and ecological harm to the region. On April 21, 2010, an explosion at the fireboats responding to the inferno aboard the Deepwater Horizon rig in the Gulf of Mexico left 17 people hurt and 11 workers missing. 8. Tianjin explosion, China. Although the initial cause of the explosions was unknown, a study that was completed in February 2016 determined that the initial explosion was caused by an overheated dry nitrocellulose canister. According to the official casualty report, there were 798 non-fatal injuries and 798 fatalities. 104 firefighters were fatalities out of the 173 total. Based on the size of the crater and the radius of the lethality, scientists believe that a series of explosions that occurred in August 2015 at the Tianjin port in China were the second most powerful explosion ever, detonating around 800 tons of ammonium nitrate. The facility, which is situated in Tianjin, China's Binhai area, experienced its first 2 explosions less than a minute apart. About 800 tons of ammonium nitrate were detonated in the second explosion, which was much larger. 8 further explosions occurred on August 15th as a result of unchecked fires from the initial blast, continuing all weekend. 7. Bhopal disaster, India. When almost 45 tons of the hazardous chemical methyl isocyanate escaped from the Union Carbide factory in Bhopal, India, on December 3, 1984, it was the single deadliest industrial accident in history. As the gas drifted over the crowded neighborhoods near the factory, it instantly killed hundreds of people and sparked a panic as tens of thousands more tried to leave Bhopal. 500,000 survivors experienced respiratory issues, eye discomfort, or blindness, and the eventual death toll was believed to be between 15,000 and 20,000. 6. 3 Mile Island, USA. On March 28, 1979, at 4 a.m., 3 Mile Island's Unit 2 reactor's automatically operated valve accidentally closed, cutting off the water supply to the main feed water system. This was the start of the greatest nuclear catastrophe in U.S. history, the system that transfers heat from the water actually circulating in the reactor core. The reactor core shut down automatically as a result, but in the hours that followed, a number of instrument and equipment failures, mistakes made during operation procedures, and human error caused a significant loss of water coolant from the reactor core. Due to the reactor building's containment vessel being partially exposed, the zirconium cladding of its fuel reacted with the nearby superheated steam to create a massive concentration of hydrogen gas, some of which was released from the reactor building's core. In reality, very little of these radioactive gases along with others escaped into the atmosphere. The disaster had extensive and significant effects on the American nuclear power sector, even if there were few obvious health effects for the local populace. 5. Texas City Disaster, USA. After a cargo ship carrying ammonium nitrate fertilizer detonated at the nearby harbor of Texas City, Texas, on April 16, 1947, columns of black smoke rose from the Monsanto Chemical Company. 2,300 tons of ammonium nitrate, a substance used in fertilizers and high explosives, were destroyed by a fire on the cargo ship SS Grand Camp while it was berthed in Texas City in 1947. The explosion destroyed 2 aircraft and set off a chain reaction that blew up surrounding refineries and a nearby cargo ship carrying 1,000 more tons of ammonium nitrate. The catastrophe, which left around 600 people dead and about 3,500 injured, is generally regarded as the greatest industrial tragedy in U.S. history. 4. Chernobyl, Soviet Union. Without the iconic Chernobyl explosion, which permanently altered the landscape of nuclear power plants, the list would be lacking. At Chernobyl, which was then in Ukraine and a part of the Soviet Union, a nuclear reactor exploded in 1986. The nuclear disaster was the worst ever recorded. 400 times more radioactive fallout than the Hiroshima bomb was released in the explosion, which tore off the reactor's 2,000-ton cap and contaminated an area larger than 77,000 square miles throughout Europe. Over 350,000 people had to be evacuated from polluted locations, and approximately 600,000 individuals were exposed to significant levels of radiation. 3. Trinity Blast, USA. At the Trinity site near Alamogordo, New Mexico, the first atomic weapon in history, known as the device, exploded in 1945 with a force equivalent to about 20 kilotons of TNT. J. Robert Oppenheimer, a scientist, subsequently recalled that when he watched the test, he was reminded of the Bhagavad Gita's famous sentence, "I become death, the destroyer of worlds." After the end of World War II, nuclear weapons brought forth decades of nuclear apocalypse terror. Scientists have discovered that residents of New Mexico may have been exposed to radiation levels that were thousands of times higher than what is considered safe. 2. Monongah, USA. On December 6, 1907, a coal mine explosion at Monongah, West Virginia, caused the collapse of the mine entrance and its ventilation system during one of the busiest times of the workday, resulting in the biggest mining tragedy in U.S. history. During the explosion, or as deadly gas entered the tunnels, more than 350 miners, many of them young boys, were killed, many of them instantly. 1. Corrières, France. On March 10, 1906, one of the biggest mining catastrophes in Europe took place. Near the Pas-de-Calais hills in northern France, an explosion at the Corrières mine resulted in around 1,100 fatalities and hundreds of injuries. Even though there were reports of smoke and hazardous gas at the mine site in the days before the explosion, work went on. 3 days after the explosion, the mine owners called off the search and declared the other guys dead. Given that people were coming out of the mine for up to 20 days after the explosion, this excessive haste drew harsh condemnation. It's critical to keep in mind the lessons we might draw from these occurrences when we reflect on the past. For the sake of our planet and its inhabitants, we must work to build a more tranquil and sustainable future. We can prevent similar incidents from happening again by being aware of the potential effects of technology and weapons. Knowing that humanity has the capacity to produce magnificent things, together with the duty to do so, gives us comfort. We can provide everyone a better future if we use science and technology wisely. The top 10 largest explosions in human history serve as a reminder of the strength of nature and technology, as well as a cautionary tale about the potential repercussions of misusing them. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment below to let us know your thoughts.